It happened to Christmas of 2024 in a warm house just outside Charleston, South Carolina. The kind of home that smells like cinnamon and carries the illusion of love. But that day, I learned that family warmth can turn cold faster than winter air. The living room was glowing with string lights and the faint sound of Bing Crosby in the background. My mother, Evelyn Parker, was sitting at the head of the table, her throne, as she liked to call it, surrounded by my siblings, their spouses, and the grandchildren. Everyone was laughing, drinking, pretending. And then she said it. Her voice, sweet as honey but sharp as glass. At least Laura made something of herself. Not everyone can say that. Can they, Claire? The room quieted, forks paused midair. My mother smiled over her wine glass, watching me like a cat watches a cornered mouse. I felt that familiar burn in my chest, the same one I'd felt my whole life whenever she found a way to remind me that I was, in her eyes, the disappointment. My sister, Laura, sat there in her designer dress, pretending to be embarrassed. Her husband, a real estate broker who never missed a chance to brag, grinned smugly. Mom went on, twisting the knife. I mean, Laura's husband just closed on that lake house, didn't he? Such a provider. Meanwhile, Claire, well, I suppose not everyone can marry a man with ambition. There was the hit. The jab at Ethan, my husband, who'd been laid off from his architecture firm 6 months ago when the company downsized. He sat beside me, silent, polite, trying not to show the humiliation that colored his face. I could have swallowed it like I always did. I could have smiled, pretended it didn't sting. But something in me cracked that night. A lifetime of her condescending smiles, her comparisons, her whispered pity. I set down my fork, looked her straight in the eye, and said quietly, "You're absolutely right, Mom. Not everyone can marry a man with ambition. Some of us just help pay off our ambitious brother-in-law's gambling debts year after year." The air froze. Laura blinked, confused for a second, then realization hit. Her husband's hand tightened around his glass. "That's not true," she snapped. "Mom, she's making things up again." But I didn't stop. Not this time. Is it because I can pull up the transfers right now? The $45,000 I wired to cover the investment that disappeared. The $20 for your Tahoe trip. The credit cards I paid when your account got frozen. I could hear the quiet creak of the Christmas tree lights in the silence that followed. My mother's painted smile faltered. "Claire, that's enough." "No, Mom, it's not. You spent my whole life telling me I should be more like Laura. More polished, more successful, more obedient." But when her perfect life started to crumble, who did she call? Me, the daughter you never brag about. The one who wasn't good enough for your Christmas cards. Laura's eyes filled with tears. Her husband stared at the table, jaw tight. "I didn't want to embarrass anyone," I said softly. "That's why I never said a word. But you humiliated my husband, again, in front of everyone. So here's the truth. While you've been praising Laura for her perfect life, Ethan and I have been keeping her family afloat. Quietly, without judgment, without thanks. No one spoke. Even the kids stopped whispering." Mom looked at me like she didn't recognize the woman sitting across from her. Maybe she didn't. Maybe, for the first time, she saw me not as the failure she'd imagined, but as someone who'd had enough. "You think love is about appearances," I said. "But real love doesn't show off. It shows up. And Ethan's done that every single day, even when you mocked him for not having a title." Ethan reached for my hand. I didn't realize until then that I was shaking. Laura started crying, murmuring something about how she'd pay me back, how she was sorry. Mom said nothing. She just sat there, the queen dethroned, staring at the daughter she'd underestimated all her life. When I stood to leave, no one stopped me. I grabbed my coat, took Ethan's hand, and walked out into the cold night air. The stars above Charleston were sharp and clear, like broken glass, beautiful and dangerous. As we got into the car, Ethan whispered, "You okay?" I looked back at the glowing house behind us, the laughter that had turned to silence, the truth finally echoing through those perfect walls. "Yeah," I said. "For the first time in my life, I am." That Christmas wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my dignity, and finally realizing that sometimes walking away from your family is the only way to find peace.